Question number 1 is, what would you do if money were no object? Now, this question is so incredibly powerful, and I ask myself it at like every 3 months, because it's one of those things that there's so much stuff that we do for the sake of money. There is so much stuff that we do chasing, I need more money, I need more financial security, I need more financial safety, all this scarcity, all of this stuff. And it's really useful to ask the question, what would I do? What would I genuinely do if money were no object? Now, if you're a noob at this, your answer will be, oh, I would just sip cocktails on a beach in Thailand and just chill. But if you've tried to do that, I've tried to do that. And I've realized it's not particularly enjoyable. And everyone I've ever spoken to who has made loads and loads of money, who has then just retired, has been absolutely miserable, because actually work is profoundly meaningful if you're doing something that you enjoy. So there's a sort of follow-up to this question, which is sort of question 1B, which is, if I had all the time and money in the world, how would I use my talents to serve other people? And this is also a really, really, really good follow-up question, because it takes care of the money thing, it takes care of I don't have time thing, and it specifically asks about talents and about service. And a big part of what makes life feel meaningful is when we are doing things that we are good at, when we're using our strengths, and when we are doing something to serve other people. So if you had all the time and money in the world, how would you use your talents to serve others? These days, I have a lot of lunches and dinners and stuff with entrepreneurs and creators and sometimes students as well. People seem to look at me as some sort of life coach or something. It's like, hey Ali, what should I do with my life? And often this is the first question. I'd be like, what would you do if money were no object? And if they need a little bit of prompting, I will ask, if you had all the time and money in the world, how would you use your talents to serve others? For me personally, asking the question, what would I do if money were no object, has led to a lot of decisions that I've made for my YouTube channel and for my business. If money were no object, I would still continue to write books. By the way, you should check out my book if you haven't yet, link down below. And if you have, I would really love an Amazon review. Feel Good Productivity. It's about how to do more of what matters to you in a way that actually feels good. But if I had all the money in the world, honestly, I would write more books, because writing books is cool. I would continue making YouTube videos. I wouldn't do it on a schedule, I wouldn't have sponsored videos, but I would do it on my own terms. I would still do YouTube videos. I would love to be able to do workshops and seminars and stuff where I teach other people about productivity and aligning your actions with the life you want and how to reach financial freedom. And so really for me, I realized after doing a lot of these journaling prompts, the main thing I wanted to do with my life was to be a teacher. And that is what ultimately led to me deciding to quit medicine, because I realized the thing that I would do to serve others is not practice medicine, it's to teach. And so that one question has single-handedly changed the trajectory of my life. Question number 2 is, what would you like people to say at your funeral? And here you can think of family, you can think of friends, you can think of co-workers, and you can think of people whose life has been impacted by your work. Now, generally family and friends and co-workers even are going to comment on the personality traits and how much of a nice person you were and all that kind of stuff. But someone whose life has been impacted by your work is going to comment on unsurprisingly, the impact that your work had on their life. So if I think about it for myself, I'd want my family, friends, and co-workers to say I was broadly a nice guy, I was humble, I was always there for them, I was present, I didn't let success and stuff get to my head, all of that kind of personal stuff. But I would want someone, let's say you're watching this and you might be one of the people who's followed my YouTube channel for a while or read my book or listened to my podcast, and if you were to come to my funeral and your life has genuinely been impacted by my work, what I'd love for you to say is something like, Ali's content really inspired me and educated me and changed the way that I feel and that I think about what to do with my life and my career. Because of Ali's content, I realized I was following a path that had been chosen for me, not a path that I'd chosen for myself, and his content gave me the courage, confidence, and motivation and inspiration and stuff that I needed to change the trajectory of my life. To me, that would be absolutely freaking sick if that's what people said at my funeral, people whose lives have been impacted by my work. And so doing that journaling prompt and knowing that that's what I'm going for gives me a very clear North Star. It gives me a sense of okay, this is the point. This is the point of sitting down here and setting up the cameras and the lights and shit and talking to a camera. When you can have that level of clarity about the reason why you're doing your work, it makes everything feel much more fun. It makes everything feel much more meaningful and purposeful. And it helps sustain you through the moments of kind of where you don't feel like it or where you're tired and you want to do the thing. Connecting to that spirit of service really helps. The personal side is also quite important. I've sort of brushed over that, but it's really the personal side is really important. What sort of spouse do you want to be? What sort of parent do you want to be? What sort of child do you want to be? What sort of colleague do you want to be? The things that these people who love us and who work with us will comment on is not hey, he drove 8% returns for our hedge fund. No one cares. No one cares about your performance. They care about how you made them feel. They care about how you showed up. And so often I'll think what would I want my family to say at my funeral? What would I want my friends to say at my funeral? And then I will ask myself the follow-up question, to what extent am I actually living in alignment with that? And usually when I ask that question, I realize, actually, I have been overemphasizing work at the expense of relationships. Let me arrange a holiday or a hangout or a dinner or whatever with some friends. Let me arrange to see my family a little bit more. Like, usually for me, the inertia is kind of in work because it's fun and it's meaningful. It's like all that stuff. And I know that, like, okay, I actually haven't been showing up as the sort of family member or as the friend that I would like to be showing up as. Therefore, I can make a change. And really the whole point of journaling prompts is not that it's like sort of navel gazing that you just do for the sake of it. The whole point of like these sort of questions and these sort of prompts is that they encourage you to take action and to tweak your course in some way or another. Maybe you do the what would I do if money were no object and you realize, crap, I'm in the wrong career. Let me make a change. That's very useful. Maybe you do the what would I want people to say at my funeral and you're like, crap, I haven't been a great friend recently. Let me make a change and nudge myself in that direction. Okay, so one of the biggest tangible benefits that all of this journaling has had in my life is that it has allowed me to make lots and lots of money running this business. And a lot of the decisions that I've made to grow my business have directly come as a result of journaling. But let's say you were to decide to start or grow a business based on your journaling practices. Now you have all this spare money that has to go somewhere. Well, that's where the sponsor of this video comes in, and that is Trading 212. Trading 212 is a fantastic app that I personally use that lets you invest in stocks and shares in a commission-free fashion. They've got a new feature that gives you 1% cash back, which will be allocated to your investment account for each deposit that you make in your ISA, if you are in the UK, for example. So for any money you do deposit into your ISA, you will get 1% back on that money completely for free. They also have a new debit card that helps you save and invest your money automatically. It's designed to seamlessly integrate with your Trading 212 Invest account and lets you earn interest on your uninvested cash in 13 different currencies. The card is also free and there are no sneaky fees or subscription plans to worry about. If any of that sounds up your street, then hit the link in the video description and that will take you to this page where you'll be guided on how to set up an account. And if you use that link, you will also get a completely free share up to the value of £100. It's free money, you might as well. So thank you so much, Trading 212, for sponsoring this video. Okay, the next question, it comes from my friend Dickie Bush, and the question is something to the effect of, if I were to repeat the things I've done this week for the next 10 years, where will I end up? And is this where I want to end up? And I think this is incredibly powerful. You can do this at the level of day. You can do that. If I were to repeat my actions today for the next 10 years, where would I end up? I personally like to do it in a week because like today kind of varies depending on if I happen to have Zoom meetings all day today. It's like that might not be representative of a week. But I think a 1 week long period is like a pretty good sense of like, that is like the formula that you're following for your life. So last week, what did I do? Well, I went to the gym 4 times. Yeah, that's pretty good. I probably spent too much time in meetings last week. Okay, that would result in me spending loads and loads of times in meetings 10 years from now. That would compound in a negative way, and that's not what I want with my life. Maybe I spent a little bit too long playing Baldur's Gate all of last Saturday. Okay, I probably don't want to repeat that every single week for the next 10 years. You know, I did 2 date nights. Yep, that's a good amount. I saw my friends twice, saw my family once. Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. And it's like, you can really take an audit of your life if you were to imagine the last 7 days repeated every single week for the next 10 years. Because everything in life comes as a result of compounding. You're either compounding positively or you're compounding negatively. I've decided that it's actually really helpful for me if I go to the gym at 8 o'clock every single morning. Great, that's going to compound in a positive direction in terms of my health. Whereas in the past, when I went to the gym maybe like once a week or like never, and asking this question of like, will these actions compound me positively or negatively? Again, helped me realize, oh crap, health is not on track, let's make a change. Again, this is all about deciding what changes you want to make to your life. And if you can figure out this sort of ideal week for yourself, what does the week look like? A 7-day period where if you were to just repeat that every day for the next 10 years, you would end up in a pretty good place. Again, that's not to say you can be wedded to that. That's not to say that it's completely set in stone. But it's a helpful way of thinking because it helps us realize that we're playing long-term games here. And it's so easy to make short-term decisions at the expense of the long-term game. It's so easy to say, oh, you know what, just for this week, work is super busy and therefore I'm going to skip all these workouts. Or work is super busy, therefore I'm going to skip my date nights, or I'm not going to see my friends, or I'm not going to sleep enough. But all of these decisions compound over the long term. So I really love this idea of copy and paste this week, extend it out for the next 10 years, see what happens. Is it good? Is it bad? Whatever you decide, whatever you learn from this, you can decide what changes you want to make. All right, question number 4. I also have a list of like hundreds and hundreds of journaling prompts, which are linked down below completely for free. I've got a journaling hub where it's like a Notion page that I keep updated with my favorite journaling prompts. But what have I done in the last 2 weeks that has energized me? And what have I done in the last 2 weeks that has drained my energy? This is the energy audit, and you don't even need to write it out. What you can do is you can look on your calendar, because hopefully you're living life by your calendar. So you can flick for the last 2 weeks and you can see, you can kind of color code your calendar events, or you can even rename your calendar events with a plus or a plus plus if it gave you energy, or a minus and a minus minus if it drained you energy, and sort of a plus minus if it was kind of neutral. This is something I got from Professor Grace Lordan's book, Think Big, Take Small Steps. Really good book. And we've also got an interview with her on my podcast Deep Dive, linked up there and somewhere. But this is great. This is the energy audit. Because again, how we spend our time, how we spend our weeks is how we spend our lives. And if we can figure out what are the things we're doing that are draining our energy, and what are the things we're doing that energize us, A, we can figure out how do I do more of the things that energize me and less of the things that drain me. But B, we all obviously have to do things that we don't want to do. And sometimes those things are going to drain our energy. And so we can follow the principles in Feel Good Productivity, for example, the 3 Ps, play, power, and people. And you can try and find ways to make the things that you are doing that are currently draining, you can find ways to turn those into a source of energy rather than a drain in energy. It would be so sick if everything on your calendar was a net gain in energy rather than a net loss of energy. And again, it just encourages us to see what are the changes we might want to make to our lives. All right, question number 5 is the wheel of life. This is something I've talked about a fair bit, so if you're already familiar with this, feel free to skip ahead in the video, but it might be worth doing. Basically, the idea is that we split up life into 3 different components: work, health, and relationships. Now within health, we've got physical, mental, and spiritual, or body, mind, and soul, whatever that means for you. Within relationships, we've got romance, family, and friends. And within work, we've got mission, money, and growth. I'd like to have a 10th category called joy. And the idea for this question is, in each of these different categories, how aligned are my current actions with the future that I want? How aligned is my current actions in physical health with the future that I want? How aligned are my current actions in joy or in romantic relationships with the future that I want? If you do this exercise enough times, you can draw it as a little circle, you can turn it into a graph, you can track the changes in your wheel of life over time. I've got a bunch of friends and team members who are super into this stuff. And so if, for example, I was hanging out with Tintin earlier today, one of my team members, hadn't seen him in a while. And instead of being like, how's it going? I was like, how's the wheel of life? And he gets it because he's been doing the wheel of life every Sunday for the last several years. And he was like, actually the wheel of life is pretty good. I've realized, I'm actually maybe a little bit negative in this and this area, but actually broadly things are good. It's a nice holistic kind of life assessment. And again, the point of asking yourself this question is that you can identify areas for improvement. Like right now, if I were to run the wheel of life on myself, I would say my joy category is probably a 6 out of 10. And so I'd like to make more time for joy, which is why I'm considering buying a PS5 for whatever that's worth. And I would say my spiritual health, my soul category is also probably like a 4 out of 10 because I haven't really done any meditation, haven't really been particularly mindful recently. It's like, by just asking myself the questions, I'm already able to come up with some action points, which, again, to reiterate, is the whole point of these different journaling prompts.